What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Today has been a day. It's been an interesting one. Listen, I'm getting back to business. I know I've been cutting up in the community sections, but I'm getting back to business. Here's the thing. We all have to plan for emergencies. And some of you may think, well, Erica, this isn't an emergency. Why are you acting like this is an emergency? Anytime you have a plan A and something can flip the table, you got to have a plan B. Now, part of what I'm talking about, everybody's like, no, not the election, Erica, don't talk about it. But it's not about just the election. It's about just turmoil in the economy. Prime example is, I looked up the other day and I saw an interview with Terry and a couple other people. They weren't even trading. They're not even trading right now. They're like, we're going to take a break because this is a hot mess. And so anytime your business can be impacted, which my hair is a hot mess right now because today I did a 5K. Anytime your business can be impacted by outside forces, you need to be, okay, what's the plan, right? And a great book, I know y'all get tired of me talking about it, but I got to, is If You're Not First, You're Last by Grant Cardone, and Sell or Be Sold, right? And on that other note, 10X, right? A lot of people, there's only so many things you can control in your day, right? And so we have to go back to what can we control in our business, in our life? What can we plan for? What are the things we can't plan for, right? There's some things we cannot plan for. We just can't. And this whole thing has taught me that America is very regional, very regional. And the attention span and the alertness of everybody is not the same, right? There's some laws that got passed in Washington on like drug usage. Now, if you're a landlord in Washington, and now it's okay and crack and meth and heroin in your properties. Thank you, Henry, for the $10 super chat. Oregon, it's okay for them to be smoking crack and do all this stuff in your housing. Well, what do you do as a real estate agent, and what do you do as a apartment complex owner? What do you do as a social security worker or a cop, right? Because now, hey, it's cool. They just smoking some crack, cop. Keep it moving. You're really fundamentally adjusting some people's businesses. Yes, Oregon decriminalized heroin. And why did it decriminalize heroin, right? We have to think about these things in the context and get it back to work. Is the people voted for that, right? And when you say the people voted for it, it's okay, Erica. They voted for it because they saw what happened to black people in the 1980s, that you had whole neighborhoods of just women with kids and no men, or very few men, or young men, or old men. And that was certain communities, because at the same time in the 1980s, people don't talk about this, you had the highest number of African Americans going to historically black colleges. The whole, the Bill Cosby show was fake. Actually, it wasn't. At that time, historically, that was like the huge number of African Americans getting master's degrees and doctorates. If you go to your schools now, a lot of the doctors you have that are black and stuff like that. But why am I bringing it up? It's important for you to know your business, right? You have to at least know and mind your business, right? As my grandma used to say, it's a full-time job worrying about yourself. Now, when I talk about me getting back to business, what's up from San Antonio? I had plans on focusing on certain companies next year, right? Nothing wrong with trucking, nothing wrong with that. We got that kind of more under control now. We kind of got a way that we're going to make it work. And so I had already in my mind going, okay, we're going to do this and this and this with these trucks, already fully knowing if we have a switch in who's in office, regulations are back up. Lobbyists are strong in the fact. So instead of having $1 million insurance, now you're going to have $2 million insurance on trucking. That's going to kill, and I mean it, and literally, it's going to wipe out a lot of small individual trucking companies. It just is. It's going to wipe them out. They cannot afford that insurance. Even I, several times this year, were like, why the hell is my insurance $15,000 a month? This is not normal. And then I started talking to more business owners. I started talking to more trucking companies. They're like, honey, this is why we break it down into so many authorities, because that's how they get around the system. And I'll do a whole thing on that. Probably within, I have a whole batch of courses that I had worked on uh, and then I had to change the title. And so those are sitting off to the side somewhere, but we're probably going to release them before Black Friday. And I break down a lot of different things that I'm doing in business and why I'm doing them. As many people saw, they're like, why the heck do you have 2 offices? Why are you doing this or that? And it's because we had a whole arm of construct, that was getting ready to start for next year, right? And now, because of the change in office, all those plans, we just bumped that date up. We're like, hey, everybody, change of plans. This will start next week. We'll still be focused on trucks. We'll still get our trucks doing what they need to do. But all roads lead to real estate. And I mean that 150%. All roads lead to real estate, and who owns what matters coming up very shortly. And when we talk about UBI and all these things, Erica, why are you talking about these things? These things really matter when it comes to minding your business, growing your business, the law for your business. People try to play off like, taxes don't matter. Taxes won't matter for me. Let me be very clear. Everything I do, everything that money that runs through me comes through some type of LLC. Some type of LLC, some type of corporation, some type of, not Erica Williams, okay? And the reason that's important is because those taxes can be done 14 ways to Sunday, moved all around. But for you, if it's just you, John Doe, personal you, your taxes are going to go up. And I know you're like, no, it's not, Erica, it's going to be this. Listen, you don't have to argue with me. The documents are there. The facts are there. The numbers are there. This is real life. Welcome to real life right now. And the thing that scares me is the people that were waking up because they were like, wait a minute, nepotism. And this is a very important word. What is nepotism? Please put it in the chat. What is nepotism? I know it takes a little bit of seconds on chat. If anybody knows the definition of nepotism, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Hey, put it in the chat. Hey. Because I think a lot of people were asleep. And this last 4 years woke them up. They're like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. What in the world? What's going on? What's happening? Who's Epstein? Who are lobbyists? What's happening? Right? Best thing, putting your family on even when they do not have credentials. Boom. Boom. Hit the cannon one more time. Boom. Nepotism is putting your children on, putting your family on. What we saw was all these colleges had these kids' parents basically paying money. Okay? All right? We saw that, and I'm gonna be very clear. A lot of people, there's a guy, he has a great course. I'm doing something similar, but you guys will see in a little bit, and it's called Family Business. Now I'm not biting off anything he's doing. I'm just telling you what nepotism is and how it rolls. There's a guy right now on the internet selling how to do a hedge fund. And you like, baby, you're 25. What do you know about hedge funds? And he knows because his father runs a $3 billion hedge fund. And now he's taught his son the game. And when his son started his first thing, he's like, no, I'm not going to invest with you. You have to go get it out the mud. Now, we all know that father put some more money up in it. We all know that father put some money up in it. Come on now. We already know. But he had to make it look good, like my son had to go get it out the mud. And unfortunately, there's some communities that's what we think. Man, I got it out the mud. Yeah, look how hard I was doing this and that. And I'm like, that's retarded. You're going to spend 10 years of your children's life losing the potential they could be doing for them to crawl and scrape and scraggle and try to get it out the mud, when I already see what happens to young men when they take that 10-year delay. Now you're gonna say, Erica, why you going here? Why you going here? But I have to. Because it's important. Please don't miss this, okay? There's a increase in videos right now. People going, I'm going to the woods. I bought a cabin in the middle of nowhere. I bought a thing in the middle of nowhere. I'm getting out my van life because it was a poverty, I'm out of money move. Okay? That's what it was. Now I put it in the community tab, and this is no beef for them. They have a beautiful channel, but there's a channel of a girl, and I'm just giving you raw numbers because I know things from them inside different masterminds. The girl's like 22. The guy's like 40. But they never tell that part of it because they don't want you hating him on the channel. Now, he is 40 and broke. Dude is broke. But you know, sometimes the most interesting men sometimes are broke. That's just all there is to it. But anyway, he found her on the internet. Come with me, young girl. And they go live in a van. And they're recording it. But if you go look, every single thumbnail is her half dressed. It's her half showing what she got, baby, so they can get those views. Then he took her from there to a yurt in the middle of nowhere in Canada. And it's not one thing where you're like, well, Erica, he's a hardworking something kind of man. So if you watch their videos, she out there having to get it out the mud with him. Now you would say, well, Erica, it's her choice. She's a grown woman, 22. So what? He 40. She 22. She grown. Now listen. Think about that. She was 22. That means if you go back and look at her Instagram, she traveled Europe on that credit card and on those good looks and came back. Imagine coming back. Now, what are your choices? I got this credit card debt. I'm gonna live in this apartment, but I want to be a yoga instructor, which doesn't. It is a bad thing. I know you don't listen. I know y'all like, Erica, why you making it sound like this? If I was a mother or a father of a 20-year-old that I raised and invested money into, I didn't invest money and raise my daughter so she can go run off with a 40-year-old broke dude, so she can be half topless on YouTube. No, I didn't do that. I didn't spend all those years investing for that. No. I didn't do that. So anyways, back to what I'm saying. That her situation shows that this is the best I can do right now, is go live in a van with a 40-year-old dude. And it ain't even a new van. It's not one of these new decorative vans. It's an old ass 1996, a $500 van he got off some Mexican family or something. And then try to modify it. And I'm bringing this up because you have to be about a van down by the fucking river, okay? The reason I'm bringing this up and you're like, man, why you gotta be hater there in love? Listen to the economics of this. Hey girl, I ain't got shit to offer you. I can't even afford to get you out of your problem. I can't afford to get you out of your situation because you done came back from traveling Europe on credit cards. And all you want to be a yoga instructor when yoga instructors really don't get paid anything, right? And so now the best I can offer you is a van down by the river. But hey, I got this thing we can do. What we gonna do is we gonna be topless on every thumbnail, and you're gonna show your back and your butt. Now I'm gonna go thumbnail by thumbnail in the class. But anyway, and show your butt for every picture so we get the clicks. Right? We get the clicks so that we can make this YouTube money. Now, let me be very clear. There's people out there making, who have millions of views, but only because they're a lifestyle channel, they're only getting $3 to $7 grand a month. Or they're only getting $3 to $5 grand a month. Now, first thing you're going to say is, well, Erica, 3,000 to $5 grand a month? That's not bad. Exactly. It's not bad living. It's what can you do with it next. And if you look at these people in van life, you look at these people in these cabins, the best they can do is go buy a 10,000 daggone cabin down by the river. Okay? They can buy the cabin. And once they buy that cabin, hey girl, we in a cabin now. We can just fix this cabin up. We can go to Home Depot every week. We got to drive 5 hours out of the middle of nowhere to the Home Depot, but we're going to drive there. We're going to get all the supplies and we're going to come back to the house and work on the house and make more content. That is the power of YouTube. Let's not get it twisted. But what it also is showing me is the power. That is the best. You know what we ought to do, baby? Get a fucking cabin in the middle of nowhere. Because that's the best we can do. Now, some of these channels, I respect them. They're artistic. They do great editing. These kids are working their butt off. Now, let me not get it twisted. Some of these people are like, they even complain about it, how they're burnt out. They're like, every night I'm staying up 3 hours to edit this video and put it on YouTube to get it out the mud. Girl, Skynet won't let me be great. It was almost 200 people in here, and now Skynet done kicked me back down to 100. Now, y'all see Skynet's a motherfucking hater. It's a damn hater. Ain't that something? Anyways, There's 200 of y'all in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button, because now Skynet done kicked me down to like 75 people. Rude, Skynet, rude. Okay. He says she looking like a snack every picture. Oh, it is. It's not even. Listen, he ain't even got her in a cabin, y'all. He got her in a damn yurk. He was like, let's go get this tent. All that YouTube money they making, he found him a damn tent. Now, anyway, I'm out here speaking too much truth. All right. So look, we were at 200 people. YouTube, internet, Skynet don't want me to be great, but listen, I need you to help me be great. Hit that like button. Drop a 1 in here if you like what I'm saying right now, because I was doing a second show tonight, because I am really on one at this point. And here's the thing. You have to look at what's happening to people economically. What's happening, right? When they're forced to do something different, most people, instead of saying, you know, baby, it's time to dig in, baby, and like get a sales job. It's time to dig in, baby, and get a tech job, or get a manager job, or get some job that's gonna put 100 racks in our pockets so we can live. They're like, nah, bump this, I'm gonna go to a cabin in the woods. Bump this, I'm gonna get in a van. Their mind goes to conserving, because that's what they know to do. That's all they know to do. And again, you can only control what's in your sphere of control. But I'm bringing this up, and I'm bringing this example of this yoga instructor out here, because that is what's happening to our economy in different regional areas. That people are like, I cannot even afford $400 rent, right? Or I can't even afford the actual wood to build the cabin, right? But I can afford to get land. This is why I keep showing y'all clips and pieces of land, and why I'm so big on land, because the further, I mean, even here in Austin, you'll meet a lot of people like, oh, I live in Lockhart. I'd be like, Lockhart? You an hour and 20 minutes out? What are you even doing in Austin this weekend? Well, I live in Lockhart because it's cheaper to live there. Well, you driving an hour just to hang out in Austin? Like, it ain't that good. I mean, it's good, but it ain't that good. And so you get a lot of guys who had little farms or little ranches in Lockhart, and they come up on the weekends to Austin because, hey, Austin's where it's at, right? And that just shows you, and that's just here. So imagine these guys in these videos, and these girls in these videos saying, oh, we live 5 hours away from Toronto. We live 5 hours away from Ontario. We live 6 hours away from, like, they're out there where the cost of land is probably $3,000 an acre, right? So, you know, this guy can put you on 5 acres, and you're out there in your yurk, and it looks like a pretty good deal. But all good things at some point come to an end. Because what I was trying to say before Skynet threw me off was, when a rising tide rises, right? A rising tide rises all boats is the saying. If you see that one channel's making 8, 6, 7, 8, 9 million views from this, more people are going to follow and record their life, and thus flood that market, just like they did van life. Just how you had all these people being travel bloggers when really they just had a credit card and got ghosts. But you see some of these boys over here with credit cards starting multiple businesses. Okay? So it's all about what you're using with the money, what you're doing with the money, how you're thinking about money. It's your mindset. And so part of why I was saying, like, yeah, I'm still going to rock the trucks, but my whole alternate side business, which really isn't side business, really the main transitional focus is, I went to a mastermind earlier this year, and it had a bunch of real estate folks in there. And I even went to the Black Wealth Summit in Houston and spoke on stage there. But I was at a mastermind before that, and the guys in there were like, they just had dug into real estate for 3 years really hard. And I remember at the time I was like, well, I'm gonna dig into these trucks, and they're like, we're gonna dig into this real estate, and the numbers and the money are there. And it's not even all about flipping houses as much as it is ownership. And everybody wants to flip. That's their, oh, we're gonna flip. But what they have to realize is ownership is where that money is. And people are like, oh, no one's paying their rent. That's not true. That is something, that is a delicious soundbite they want to sell you, that people are not out here paying their rent. No, the people that cannot pay their rent have got their ass in a van and in the middle of the woods. Those people have left the building. They have exited the matrix. They have said, okay, I'm going to go get in my car and live in my car. And you have people doing that. Because even to get in your car means you did not even go on Facebook Marketplace. You didn't go on Craigslist. You didn't even go and look on Nextdoor for a place to rent a room. You don't even know anybody you can rent a room from. That's not even economical. That's bad socially. That means socially you don't know anyone. Socially you don't know anyone, and socially you are not prepared to go to any other job, any other field. Listen to me. There were times when I did not have somewhere to stay. I called up 10 of my friends. Hey, I need somewhere to be. What can I give you? Hey, come on over here. Come on over here. Come on over here. Do this. Okay? And that tells you that person, for them to get to a point where they are like, I'm going to be in a car, they've run out their social circle. And that does happen. You do burn people out whenever you keep needing help every 2 minutes. And two, this is the level of what their thinking can produce. Instead of saying, I need to leave this city of California, whatever. I need to leave New York, whatever. I need to if I have a car, which I keep telling y'all, these people are in a car inside California with nowhere to live. Leave. That's not your city. And people are like, Erica, why you keep posting Hunger Games posts? That's just it. You know, some of these places are like District 12, District 7, District 8. That's not your district. You can't afford to be there. Leave. And you're like, Erica, I will not be displaced. How dare you, right? And I keep trying to explain to you, that ain't your city. If you in Oakland, you in the Bay, and you ain't in Tech, that's not your city. I don't care if your great-grandpa stayed there. I don't care if your grandma stayed there. I don't care if your family been there 150 years. There's no amount of you can explain to me, well, my family been here for 200 years. If your family been there 200 years and y'all don't own anything, something's wrong. Y'all don't own no land. Y'all don't own no house to fall back on. Something's wrong. I even told somebody the other day, if everything fell to poo-poo, I would go, there's a whole house in North Carolina I stay in, my cousin owns. I'd go there and say, okay, thanks. Thanks for everything. Do you know what I'm saying? And people don't want to hear that. Well, Erica, that's good for you. That's good that your family did. No. Don't try to play off like my family got an Easter egg. No, they worked their freaking ass off and bought things when it wasn't cool, when it wasn't convenient, when people said, why are you buying that little raggedy $35,000 house over there? Because it's a house. And now those same houses are worth $100,000. And it not over a 20, 30 year lifetime, over a 5-year time where, that neighborhood's unlikable. Do you not understand that families and children don't stay in a neighborhood forever? That those children will eventually go somewhere else? Those children will eventually get over and don't live in that neighborhood? And yet people are like, well, that neighborhood's full of bad teenagers. Give it 5 years. Okay? Give it 5 years. They'll be gone. That's what teenagers do. They go somewhere else. Or they go to jail. Whatever. I'm telling you back to business because I want you to understand that the only people who will be able to have a say, when I keep telling you about the 4 quadrants, when I tell you, you have the sales, you have the manager, you have tech, and you have trade. We're going to get back down to district trade, district tech, district manager, and district sales. I mean, I make that joke about the Hunger Games because people make fun of China for how they forced hundreds and hundreds of thousands of children into one way of thinking for a long time, to the point that they have to bring creative people to China to come up with creative ideals because they don't have them. They never supported the arts in a way that can grow this creativity. But America, on the other hand, has over and focused on the music, over and focused on the art, over and focused on the sports. So that's why when immigrants come here, they look around and eat our lunch every day because they're like, what are y'all doing? Like, yeah, that's cool and all, you want to make music, but you need to have food in your belly to do that, right? The reason I talk a lot about Ryan Pierre, and there's a couple other people that are my business coach right now, they played baseball professionally. But 6 months out of the year, they weren't playing baseball and they weren't being paid. So what did he do? Get focused on real estate. And I'm so passionate about this because I know if you hammer for 2 or 3 years, the difference your life can be. And I see people struggling unnecessarily. I see people basically heading themselves toward homelessness for no reason. I see people on YouTube being 22 years old, instead of saying, hey, I need to move to a better city or go somewhere else, I'm going to go get with this 40-year-old man who doesn't have any money. My family clearly doesn't like him if you actually listen to the videos. And we're going to go live in a van. Not a new van, not a cool van, but this 1996 $500 auction van that he has to go buy plywood from Home Depot to put inside of it. And I got to get half naked on my thumbnails for the videos to sell, to get the clicks. Come on, y'all. Tell me that you didn't raise your daughters and your sons to go live in a van by the river. You want them to have their own future and their own life, of course, but you didn't raise them for that. Now, everybody's got to hustle. Now, you may say, well, Erica, it's better than her not being on OnlyFans. And again, listen to people who keep bringing up OnlyFans. These are people who live in low... Let me stop before I say what I want to say. Let me stop. Let me fix my mouth. Somebody whose only goal and focus is OnlyFans and sugar babies and all this bullshit. Yes, vices sell, sex sell. But if that's your Achilles heel, way you guys keep talking about it here in the Manosphere and all these places, that's where you live, baby. That's where you dwell, is with the low bottom feeders. That's what you specialize in. What you look at every day, what you specialize in every day is who you are. So if your whole mission every day is looking for disadvantaged women with drug issues, women with housing, dirty houses and dirty feet, and kids everywhere, that's who you are. That's your level, baby. You know, this whole thing of like, if I just make more money, I'll be more valuable, I'll be a high value man, I'll be all these things. No. If you dwell every day in looking, I gotta look up the OnlyFans, I gotta look up the sugar babies, I gotta look up, that's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. And no amount of money is going to change that. We can put money on you, but if you do not improve yourself, if you're not in community events, volunteering, that's who you are. That's why you see these. And I'm gonna be honest, in my luxury apartment complex I was at before this, there was a guy. He had done real estate, not a bunch, but enough that he convinced some girl from Instagram from Las Vegas to move here to Texas with him. And he was complaining because he's half black, half Spanish, and he was like, the Spanish people here are rude to me. That they act like, that I'm not Spanish because I have a hard time speaking Spanish. And I'm like, well, that's the component of being Spanish, is speaking Spanish. You're half Spanish and half black, and they looking at that nappy hair like, hello, who are you? What do you want? And you can be a big dog taking your shirt off, showing your abs on Instagram to the point that you can convince a woman to move from Las Vegas to Texas with you. But you still need a community. You still need a community, baby. And that's why he was so frustrated, because he moved here from New York, Brooklyn, New York, or Queens. What is the New York? He moved from one of them new boroughs in New York. And he got here and he realized, okay, I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak the language. I have to go out and make community. And clearly the Spanish community ain't checking for me. And that's why I keep telling y'all, America is very regional, that you can be in the Bronx or be, whatever it is, Queens, or whatever the Hispanic people is up in New York, which is everywhere. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to say that y'all are everywhere up north. And it isn't so much community based as it is maybe like cultural. I'm trying to be careful. I'm trying to say right. New Ricans, whatever. I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I don't want y'all coming for me. And listen, I am very appreciative of every Spanish person that watches this channel. Our demographics show and our sales show that 45% of my sales go to Hispanic people. I'm in no way, space, or shape being disrespectful. One of my best business partners is a Hispanic male right now. He helps me with everything, almost all my businesses. I just want to make sure that public apology is done there, okay? I have Spanish friends. I'm going to be one of those people. I have Spanish friends, okay? Right? And you have to understand that community is still important. Having a type of community to surround yourself with is important. And if you don't have it, it starts exposing parts of your life, okay? Okay? And so that's why you're seeing this increase of van life. the increase of people living in their cars. They've either burnt out their community, or they cannot socially live for whatever reasons with roommates or other people. They rather sleep in their car than like, balance themselves and have a roommate situation, right? Because boarding houses in America are not new. Boarding houses in America have been here hundreds of years. You had boarding houses in the 1920s. Like, there was a show out, and it was showing they had went back in the past to the 1960s, and they were at a boarding house, and it was like for single men, no children, no women. And people were like, "Oh, that's crazy." And I'm like, no, that's real American life. Like, we had those all the way into the 60s. It was when you started having, what do you call it without me getting in trouble? When you start having civil rights movement and housing rights, you started getting where you couldn't discriminate against people, and you couldn't put something out there like, "Hey, this is only for single men who have no families." What do you call them? Transitional, or what do you call them? Transient is the word, but that's not a nice word. I bring all this up to say, all roads lead to real estate. All roads lead to business. The future that we're trending for is, and the best thing, the Bible. Money answers many of things, right? If you look at the guy on TikTok who is like got 7 million followers right now, and look at what happens. He'll walk over to very wealthy people in cars that cost $300,000, $400,000, and the first thing they do, he's like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" And they're happy to tell him real estate, private equity, this, that. Half of those people are nepotism cases. Their daddy or their mama got it, and then they got it, right? But they're like software engineer, real estate. You kept hearing the word real estate, private equity, which is just real estate, but raised private funds, essentially, because the bank is dead, okay? And you saw that over and over and over. Well, he said, well, they like, why don't you just ask regular people? Well, he started walking up to regular people, asking what their job is. They were like, that's private. They started scowling at him, being angry with him, giving him, harsh looks. And I'm like, look at the energy. Look at the energy. You know what I'm saying? Look at the energy. They don't like their life. They don't like the Honda Civic they're driving in. They don't like none of that. So they're giving him stankin' energy for him asking a simple question. But then you go and hop over, and people who have probably worked, and one dude tried to be smart ass, I worked 7 days a week, hustle. And I'm like, look, dude, we ain't saying you didn't work hard for your car. He just asked you what you did. Don't give that extra energy there. But when you see, and these aren't like a Raptor truck that's $70K or some, Audi that's $70K. These are like $100,000 plus cars, $200,000 plus cars, $300,000 plus cars, right? They had a life and a passion and an energy. And I want to explain to you, that's why I keep talking about nepotism and making sure you're building something that your kids can not only inherit or at least benefit off of. I keep telling you, college in the future, you saw how college just absolutely dropped this year, so much so that multiple colleges, I think about 150 at this point, are going to drop tuition as much as possible next year. I think like almost 50%. That could only occur in this economy, right? Because really, people who parents are not paying the way for them to go to college, and I don't mean in loans, I mean in cash. Really, that was not what college was meant for. College was like a grooming school, a finishing school for kids of certain means and wealth. And yes, there was a component of working learning schools. Those are what really were the original community colleges, where it made teachers and welders and small elementary school teachers. Those were mostly for women. Those little schools that taught the typing and the teachering, that was mostly for women. And making them into nurses, that was mostly for women. The colleges that you see that made the doctors, made the lawyers, those were second generation people with some money. That was so that when you sent your son off to school and he came back to town and you made him the manager over the company, people didn't be like, why are you making him the manager? He ain't got no skills. Oh, yes, he does. Look, he went to college. He has this degree. That was the point of college, okay? And to craft that 20% of society that we desperately need. I know y'all hate to hear that. We need doctors. We need nurses. We need teachers. Not as many teachers we have now, but we need them. We need them. It's important. And what's even more important than needing those special fields is the nepotism of owning your own business so that you can dictate where your child will work. So your child isn't standing on the corner in Atlanta trying to sell water bottles for $1 when you know damn well they could be doing something else. Right? We need a lot of people in bigger, more dramatic fashion taking care of their family and children. Okay? School was never meant to send you home with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And part of that Joe Biden promise that we'll pay $30,000 of that student loan debt. When I said the average student loan debt was $20K, people got, Mammy, Erica, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. It's more. Hey. On average, the past couple years, it's been 20. But now, because y'all done went and racked it up like Julius Caesar, to your nose bleeds, yeah, it's $100K. But it wasn't always that way, right? So anyways, let me finish this out. And I really want to tell you this, why, like, you're like, Erica, what do you mean you're back to business? I'm back to business because we're going to see, I don't even know if I put it on a separate channel probably. I don't even know. I haven't even thought about it. I just let all the people that were my VA systems and everybody like, hey, we've had funky craziness with Stripe and PayPal and all these third-party platforms and online stuff. You know what pays and will continue to pay? Real estate. You know what pays and will continue to pay? Make sure those trucks run. You know what will pay and continue to pay? Some of the things we have in the works. And that's what we'll focus on. And we will just swing our way over there as we add to our portfolio, because we know we have to get back to business. We have to get back to business, because what's about to happen is a swath of people are going to get, unfortunately, into crime. A swath of people, even though you're like, everything's great now, the orange man is bad, he's gone, look what we did, which is idiotic. I don't care if I lose some of y'all to me sharing my views, because I know what I'm talking about, and I know on paper, do you know what I'm saying? I know on paper what I'm talking about. Okay? And this guy said, hey, you can make $20,000 before Christmas. And everybody's like, Ryan, why are you giving these false promises and these false da-da-da? And he's like, literally, they show person after person. And there's a guy in San Antonio. Hopefully I get to interview him, and then, y'all see him for whatever. Showing you person after person who 90 days just picked up the phone, which is what people hate doing, talking on the phone, which is what they hate doing, making sales, which is what they hate doing. They hate doing that. They hate doing real work. They want to just type and send emails and be like, look, I did work. No. Actually get on the phone and talk to people, making real work, closing real deals, right? They've made $100,000. Several people, see, a lot of people, I keep trying to tell y'all, if y'all haven't paid attention to the breadcrumbs I'm leaving on this channel, several people that are big social media people quietly segue all the way like 180 degrees into service businesses. There's a reason I put the middleman to millions out, because I was trying to, hello, blow the whistle, hello. There's going to be a lot of contractors, hello. I tried. I did my part. I'm going to keep showing what progress we have here in a little bit over the next 90 days, because it's important. Because I want y'all to understand that service is going to be a big factor. And I saw some charts and some Bloomberg numbers that I'm probably going to do a video on. But literally, it just showed where the Hispanic community just did a 30% jump up in income. And I said, you know why? Fucking service businesses. Construction, drywalling, all that stuff. They did a survey for 20 years following Hispanic children in Texas, thinking, yeah, all these Hispanic children are going to go be doctors and lawyers and accountants, and they're going to completely be a different demographic from their parent. No, the results of the study for 20 years showed that majority of the Hispanic children went on, in Texas, this is just Texas, went on to do exactly what their parents did and do it better. And that means asphalt, construction, tree removal, all those things, all those companies that you think, oh, whatever, those companies that are making millions right now in Texas are now the children of people in the 80s who were doing that, in the 90s who were doing that. And this is why we talk about nepotism. Because if you're actually showing if you're actually showing your children, hey, this is where the money is. You're actually teaching your children, this is where the money is. You're actually showing them and laying the brickwork. By the time your son, Jose, Hector, whoever, goes to Aggie Land and comes back, goes to UT and comes back, now he knows a little bit more something and he can add on to it. He can make it even better. He can market it even better. He can go in different parts of the city and the town, right? And that's something people don't really want to talk about, but it's important. Service businesses, that reason you just saw the Hispanic community have a 30% jump in assets and income comes from owning things. You got to be able to own things. You got to be able to fix things. If you don't have nobody to fix it, you got to go find somebody. Okay? You got to go find somebody to fix it. And I'm telling you right now, if you look over at Beyond Win on his Instagram channel, he is right now got like young men coming, and it's mostly young men I've seen in the videos. I think I've seen some more. Young men in the videos learning how to cut tile, learning how to put up drywall, learning how to fix stuff, learning how to do things. And everybody's like, oh, why they doing that? Because see, everybody want to hop on their phones and act like, yeah, look at me on this phone. If you got these hand skills, right now, I'm going to tell you right now the numbers off the top of my head. I just went and looked at a property earlier. Renovation, full, for this particular area is $25 a square foot. And so just for, just hypothetical for this place, it was like 25 grand. Now, if I know I call around, it's going to be close to 30. Because right now it's tight. Everybody's running around very busy schedules. Okay? Then I know if I really want to go and be bare bones, not do a full, it's going to be closer to, I think, about $15 a square foot. But you're in competitive markets. So 15 a square foot is something where you're selling it for super cheap, or you're going to turn it to a rental. So safe, clean, functional, the basics. But how did I know those numbers? One, I've been neck deep in renovation numbers. Two, I got multiple projects going on all over the place. And four, I know that's something that's just, it's not ever changing. I don't know how to make it say it in a nice way. People need a place to live. People will pay for it. People will do owner financing. People will live somewhere. People will buy something. People will rent something. It's a consistent future and a consistent pathway. It will never end. It will never end. There'll be people making money on real estate in 5 years from now and 10 years from now. Erica, all these people are homeless. All these people don't have a job. I just told you. People that don't have real money right now, they are in their car. And there's steps before you even get to the car. Most people would be, I'm gonna call a friend, I'm gonna phone a family member. Right? So if they've already eliminated those two, now phone a friend, phone family member, now they're gonna go look on Craigslist, on the internet, go find a roommate situation. If they can't even do the roommate situation, I'm just being honest, they're going to find a girlfriend or boyfriend real quick. People seem to really find a boyfriend and girlfriend real quick when they ain't got no money. I don't know what to tell y'all about that, but that is something I've noticed, okay? And then after that, right, because there's a bunch of people that got married that didn't have no money. Even no matter what the manosphere's trying to tell y'all, there's a lot of homosexuals out here who got married because it was convenient financially, compatibility-wise, companionship-wise. They didn't have to be alone, and they're in a house together, okay? Number 5, then you got van people, right? Who just are like, I'm going to go to the van. And before the van, you have the car people who are in the car, okay? So then by the time you get there, they're working their way back out of homelessness, essentially, because if without the car, they'd be what? On the street, right? And so they're working their way out of that situation. So a cabin in the woods is a sighting. It's beautiful. Yes, it's half torn into the ground, but who cares, right? This is also why you see mobile homes blowing back up. Why? Because $400 rent is amazing. A mobile home that's half the cost of most houses, and you can put it on a lease of land you own. Great idea. And I hope y'all are following. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. But yeah, this whole y'all better get back to business, and you better get on your business, because if not, then I'm going to be on YouTube watching you convince me how your van life is amazing when you're having to go pee at Planet Fitness and poop at Planet Fitness. Cool. So I'm gonna read some of you guys' comments and I'm gonna get off here because I thought about doing a second show tonight because I had to finish this part on the wall. At my let me see what y'all got in here. Oh my goodness. What's up, Henry D? Again, thank you for $10 super chat. Oh yeah, Oregon's crazy right now. They just want you to go smoke crack and fall out in the streets. Basically putting your family on even when they don't have credentials. The practice among those of power and influence of favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs. And I've already told y'all, like, one of the insurance companies I was working with, which I'm getting away from, they have every single family member in the insurance office. From the mama to the papa to the grandma to the cousins to the nephews. There are 20 people in that office. And all of them are related to the man who started the company. Now, they don't all got an insurance. They don't all have a insurance. Insurance license. Only 2 of them have. But the rest, they handle phone calls, they handle emails, they handle this, they handle claims. Like, they do all little parts that all make that thing run. And it's very smart. They all have work. So what ends up happening? Now we all are on the football team to make this insurance company in California work. Why? Because we're all on the same team. And if we don't make this team run, if this team don't make money, then we all don't make money. So then we all get heavily invested in making sure Jose, just using a name because it is a Hispanic family, is successful because we all are eating off this. Okay? So again, nepotism works when you work it. What's up, everybody? Hey, and if this has been helpful, y'all hit a 1 in the chat for me and just hit the like button. There's 130 likes. There's been about 400 people in and out the chat. Carla said, I just finished real estate class in CT and passed the final exams, waiting to take the state. What can I do to get to the next level? Honestly, you're going to have to immerse yourself in real estate. And again, a lot of times people go get a real estate license, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great way to make money. But if you're in Connecticut right now, Carla, you need to be building up I'll have to do a whole nother video on that, Carla. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on that. But like, literally, you need to be showing, talking to people, connecting to people. There are hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million people leaving New York, and Philly is getting those people, Baltimore is getting those people, and Connecticut is getting those people. Also, another state further down, DC is getting those people. Virginia is getting those people. The people from New York are fleeing New York, and it's almost like fish in a barrel. If you're downwind of that, you're downwind of that movement, because the housing's cheap. So there's a lot of things you can do in real estate, but the first thing is you're going to have to get immersed in real estate. You're going to figure out who's your client. Are you going to work with relocation people? Are you not? That's a whole nother segment. If you want to book a consult with me, we still have our Calendly special up. You can go ahead and do that. Lifestyle business. Everybody wants them. Yeah. It is pimping, baby. Terry X, it is bad. 22 is grown. Monique, 22 is grown enough, I guess. Hey. 22 young and dumb. This is true. It only works. I mean, if you're a 40-year-old man and you don't have money and you try to convince a 30-year-old woman, hey, come with me in this van. Probably not. 25, maybe 22. This is exciting. This is romantic. So there's some agreement I will give to certain men groups that they go younger because it's an easier sale, and without parents giving instruction to your child, like, honey, he's 40 and you're 20, he should have even more money, right? Because if he was just 30 and just starting a career, that's fine too, but 40, baby, he ain't got nothing but probably some good, what, that's it, and abs, because he does like karate, I think. But anyway. Oh yeah, Cosby story. Yeah. Topless 2020, make America great again. You're checking it right now. There you go. I'm glad you saw it. Black hipsters. I agree. She looking like a snack. Hey. NICU grad. My 18-year-old son is working 2 jobs right now with his dad, and I guide him still. Yeah. I mean, and kids eventually have to make their own way, but again, the mosquitoes at that cabin have to be size of short buses. Listen. You have to build your own economy systems and efficiency, sweat and sacrifice. Yes, big money growth. I mean, right now, what I want people to understand about business is once you get a lot of these skills down, and you're probably like, Erica, you in a daggone car talking to us? Yes, because I'm getting ready to go get this barbecue from this place. and watch this football game. um, but part of what I want people to understand so bad is once you learn the fundamentals of business, starting an LLC, grabbing a new business bank account, calling Hiscox for insurance, HISCOX.com, and getting your insurance set up and leveling your skills to another thing is like nothing. And right now there's a young man who he has 17 businesses. You know, you probably seen me talk to him about it on Twitter. There's another young man, he has 7 different businesses. And out of his 7, really what he focuses on is just getting online leads and selling it to smaller businesses. Because guess what? Businesses always need leads. So when you work with a company, you better be very valuable and you better show how you're valuable. You better distribute, hey, I'm doing this for y'all. I'm doing that for y'all. I really recommend if you work for anybody right now in the United States, you need to be putting up a portfolio of how much work you do. And this is why I talk about the gratitude book and getting gratitude, getting a perspective on the fact that you have a job. Because a lot of people are out there like, well, I don't need this job. And I'm like, careful what you wish for. And I know I'm talking fast, but I'm trying to slow it down. Skynet scared for you coming out for the Indian VIP. Let me tell you something. Everything about that woman, if you research her history, other than college where she joined the AKAs, which that's a whole nother conversation about the AKAs, but we're not going to go there, has not been in alignment with that community. Daughter looks nothing like any black woman. But it's okay because, you know, people have decided that that's what she is. But I will tell you, on a normal day outside somewhere else, that woman won't be 2 feet from you. So whatever, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna go there. I keep telling you, I'm going back to my, because I could be silly and go on and on for months on this, but it won't prosper me no money. It'll just make me more frustrated and more angry because, you know, you see something, you're like, you know, it's just like when you see something that's off and then we all try to act like we don't see it. It's like, okay, cool. After high school, my parents refused to assist me with college. They told me their job was done. Woo! Luckily, I was smart enough to join the military. Now they depend on me for financial help. Mark DC, you know, all I can say is talkspace.com for therapy. And then 2, our parents are people and they're still growing up themselves, depending on what age they had us. The parent my mom was to my brother versus who she was to me and my sister versus how she treats my nephews, which are my sister's kids, completely different. I'm watching a different woman each generation. Like, she was military tough. It worked for that. And now she's super soft. And you know what I mean? Like, super soft, super feminine. Like, yeah, grandma, do whatever. And it has an effect on each generation. And you'll notice that with your parents later. Wait till they build that Virgin Hyperloop in ATX. Oh man, we're like near where my shop is. They're building a loop that just takes you from Round Rock to Georgetown. And people are like, that's stupid. We don't need that. I'm like, you will. That's how many people they have planning on moving to Texas and Austin. And that tells you the economic conditions they think are going to be in this country. That so many people will move here that we will need a loop just to take you. Instead of going straight I-35, which is a good 10, 20 miles, they're going to take you a hyperloop to go around it because that's how bad traffic will be. And that's why when people tell me, oh, ain't going to be no trucks, ain't nobody going to be driving, I'm like, honey, they've already made financial plans and community development plans to build loops all over Austin, loops just to get you to not have to get on the highway so that the highway that runs through our town and multiple cities, which is good and bad for those cities, will not be impeded. Y'all think I want you to pay attention. Why am I going to truck parking so hard? Because I know the flow of traffic that is coming. Why am I going to buy land over there? Because I know the flow of traffic, right? And I've already worked with a couple people who built, 50 unit apartments, small little apartments, right? Because people hate driving in really big apartment complexes in Lost, but they love the smaller ones because they kind of know everybody a little bit, or they know the vibe of the neighborhood and you can put a little gate on it. Yeah. Because see, you're not going to get into buying apartments at the level Grant Cardone and them are going to buy. You're going to have to build them. You're going to have to build. And that's why new construction still gets loans. You're not going to be able to outbid, outbuy a Grant Cardone looking for somewhere to put their money in the market. You're not going to be able to outbid, outbuy Lane or our groups or different groups who are looking for apartments in the market. You're not outbuilding them. You're not outbidding them, and you're not going to win them with a little bit of money trying to skeek through the door. You're going to win in the real estate when you own the land, and then you plan to build out a little 50-acre unit thing, and you build it building by building. That's how you're going to win, because there will still be people moving in apartments. It just will be different than what you think. I've actually prospered during this lockdown. Made living in a tent seem cool. It really did. Listen, the lockdown made marriage seem cool. And people are like, no, Erica, no. I come from a different level class than most people. And that's okay. We can talk about, we can be, to be honest. Marriage is expected. And if you're not married, what is wrong with you? Who can we hook you up with? That doesn't seem normal. You're an educated person. What's going on? Why didn't you pick better? Like, this is how I know the difference in classes, where there are people who moms are like, well, at least they got a baby. At least they taking care of the baby. And I'm like, we're not the same. We're not the same. That's all. I just know when I go in my group of people, they're like, okay, what are the last couple single people? Why are y'all not married? How can we help you? How can we partner you up with people? Because you're just like us in the financial class. You should also be like us in the culture. See, and that's how when people try to tell you these things like they're high value, whatever, but they have no high value community, that doesn't add up. There's no other millionaires you hang out with and go to dinner with, and they're all cool that you do weird stuff. Okay, cool. Sell me that story. Sell me that story. You know what I mean? And I remember telling somebody about going to pick out these cigars because I was giving these gifts for Christmas. And they're like, you're buying people cigars? And I'm like, yes, that's not uncommon with the group of people I'm with, right? And so I just want to express that, and that's part of why I bought up the TikTok guy. When you're dealing with people who actually have money, they love talking about, yeah, I'm a software developer. Yeah, I got this other company. Yeah, I got 7 other companies. Yeah, I got this going on over here. Oh yeah, every 90 days I take a massive vacation. That's a normal conversation for them. There's families I know right now take off all of August and spend the whole month in North Carolina. And people are like, oh, that's crazy. No, her husband makes $300,000 a year at the company here. He just invests in an Airbnb for a whole month back in where they live. That's all. So again, it's a class thing, it's a wealth thing, but it's also, again, you saw the benefits of people living together and companionship-based living, because right now you're about to go through lockdowns again, probably for 4 or 5 months. And if you thought the economy was dead before, you're about to really find out. So when people keep talking to me about OnlyFans and this and that, I laugh because it shows me they've skipped this whole level of class and they went purposely to the bottom, looking for something, looking to either take advantage of people, looking to dominate a person. There are people who purposely date people who are poor and not that bright to dominate them. That's not uncommon. But there's a reason they're looking there, right? Most people want to go associate people on their level. Why would someone going to be spending their days and nights looking on the bottom? Because that's where they think they appear or that's the best they can do in their conversation in their community circle. So anyways, let me get back on here. And again, you don't have to believe me. You can go look at lots of surveys, lots of pewresearch.org. Go look it up. Surveys of showing that 9 times out of 10, if a man has all his friends are getting married, he's the 5th or 6th man to get married. So that's why when you find some guy who's 40, 50 years old and all their friends are recently divorced or single, you run the other way. Because that's the community that talks into their ear every day, right? If you're around women who don't want to work out, don't want to be fit, don't want to do all that you'll be the 6th woman, right? And the group of friends I am, every Saturday is like, oh, are we going walking? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Are we going to Town Lake? Are we going to do a physical activity? It's never like a shopping. It's never like a, hey girl, let's do just brunch. No, it's a, let's do a physical activity. And so you have to listen to the classes people are in. What they're telling you everything about them if you just listen, right? Again, like I told you, half the people I know that have 10 to 20 rental properties, none of them have new cars. None of them. They got some badass houses and badass vacations. Let me see what else y'all got in here. Katie B. Marshall, I did see this earlier a little bit. She said, what do I think about Robert Kiyosaki take on trucking industry? Someone put what he said in there. And if this has been helpful to you, drop a 1 in the comments and hit a like. You can cash at me. You can super chat. You can support the channel. Why? Because, hey, this is a business, baby. We're here to make money. Let's see. My thought, from what I've heard that Robert Kiyosaki said, like, I don't know for certain. If you could put it in the chat, that'd be helpful. He probably said something like it's going to crash or it's going to have a hard time. But let me be clear, as Obama would love to say. Let me be clear. Where do men go when they are short on work? They go in the military. They go into trades. Excuse me for a second. This oat milk is probably not going to make it better, but let's do it again. They go into military. They go into trades with their hands. They go on the computer and look for some technical trades. The best teacher out there is, unfortunately, being out of work. Poverty teach you real quick who you going to be. And when you watch those shows, The Invisible People, of whatever, and some of these issues, like a really popular comedic theme on, unfortunately, black community is the guy who doesn't have anything and he's got shoes and clothes and he's just moving from women house to women house to women house, and look how cool he is, when ultimately that's really very sad. He doesn't even have his own place to live. He's using a woman's car to get around because that's all he has to offer. He's a thought. He's a male thought. He just has body parts that offer. That's a sad living. There's nothing amazing about that. There's nothing respectful about that. There's nothing to that that's honorable. That's sad. And those are the same men you see ultimately 10 years later who are homeless or married to somebody with 5 kids. One of the two. 9 times out of 10 homeless. And in order to curb that in our society, most men, when hard financial times come, go, whoa, buck it up. We're going to go to some other job. We're going to go do something else. We're going to go get some skills. Okay, because at the end of the day, who takes care of you? Just you. And I know there's this big myth that women have all these social programs to keep them from being homeless. But if you're a woman without a child, no, there is not. If you're a woman without a child, even homeless shelters are preferential to women with children. If you're a woman without a child, you're what they would like to joke, a cat lady. You better make some good decisions, honey, because what's coming is what's coming. Right? Again, I just watched a video the other day where the woman was 45 and she decided she needed some children, but most people were not going to let her adopt a baby at 45. Now, this is what she told herself, but whatever. And she had to be a mother. So at 50 years old, she finally was pregnant. Let me say that again. 50 years old, she was finally pregnant. Her father is 91 years old and was like, yes, so excited for you. Of course, she had those babies early. Why? She was 50 years old. And surprised she got pregnant with twins. The doctors were like, oh shit, got 2 instead of 1. They were twin girls. Now, the first thing in my mind is, by the time these girls are 5, she'll be 55. By the time these girls are 10, she'll be 60. By the time these girls are 15, she'll be 65 years old. People in the chats are like, her father's 91. Yes, that's true. But she will be in single mother care of 2 girls. I don't know if you know girls. Girls will stress you about 12 to 15. You're going to be like elbow dropping them, okay? Boys too. Listen, my nephew's 14, and boy, I almost just, because they just sit there with their grumpy face and Fortnite all day, okay? That's a hard road for that woman. But ultimately, the best road. Now, hear me out. You're going to say, Erica, that's horrible. She's 50. She has some money. She has money now because she's paying for Ivy and all that stuff. But those 2 girls, that's all the family they'll have. Listen to me again. At 50 years old, her father will be gone. He's 91. He ain't going to live to 120. That'll be the only family she has. Will be those children. That will be their only infrastructure. So they will be very loyal to that infrastructure. So when people say, well, Erica, listen, people are going to do what's naturally in their best interest. What naturally keeps them happy. Okay? And so you'll see some more of that. You'll see some more of a lot of women from the Gen X period, which is 40 to 59 years old, adopting kids, finding kids, something. Because kids need a home, 1, and 2, they need a retirement plan. And when you look at someone's life, and again, studies show this, is not me making it up. Even if you found elderly people with just a dog, they're usually 10 times happier than people who have nothing. And that means a single man or a single woman with no dogs, no nothing, no kids, no nothing. People with the dog or someone to love or someone to care for do better than other segments of our society. And so we have a weird winter coming for Gen Xers. We will have a weird winter coming for some of these millennial women as well in about 10-year period. But I just wanted to share that just to kind of get y'all on that. But back to what we said about Robert Kreese talking about the trucking industry. I'm going to scroll down and see if you gave me the full context of what he said. But I promise you, men, when forced to need to work, will go find work. And trucking is somewhere they'll go. Even for low pay, they'll have somewhere to sleep and they'll have somebody to go. Like, listen, the oil fields. Men were just giving up whole lives and just went out to the oil field. You have women truckers becoming a thing now. What is that telling you? That means that she didn't have no other kind of skills. That she like, you know what I can do? I can drive. Right now, my mom was telling me about in North Carolina where the whole class of like 40 people they had were all barbers. A bunch of barbers, okay? People like barbers. People always need a barber. Okay, what's a barber when you got COVID and you can't go out the house? Is your barber coming to your house? Is your hairdresser coming to your house? Again, you gotta think about these different industries. So I'm gonna scroll down. Devon Blake, I don't get why people stay in expensive areas they can't afford, move to a cheaper location. People don't want to leave their family. I will stay with someone until I can get myself together, but not for free. Of course not. Not the Hunger Games. Not District 13. Black people be in the same place for 1,000 years written, then complain with gentrification stuff. Roscoe, you already know. My grandpa's rentals have been the same family for the past 40 years. We had a lady from New York came down. She brought her mother with her. That's how bad it was. She brought her mother. Her mother was down here in one of our properties, and then she came down here until started taking care of her mother. And she'd been in that house for 10. Her mama died a year and a half after she got here. She's still been in that house for 10 plus years from New York. Always, every time you talk to her, she going back to New York. Oh, I'm going back to New York. And we like, when? You are a 60-something-year-old black woman. You are not going back to New York. Ain't no job. What job you got? Girl, bye. When people say I don't want a house in this neighborhood, but they will rent in that neighborhood for life. Katie, it blows my mind. I really don't like old buddy. I don't like a lot of old buddies. Van by the river walk. Yeah, that is true. Really low value. Yeah. I'm convinced most people don't want to change. There's too much information and time during these quarantines to be listen, any woman who is her thought was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to OnlyFans. And there's only 480,000 accounts. So let's be very clear. Whenever it's about all these women are going, there's only 480,000 accounts. But the only reason I even looked up that low value information bullshit is because people kept talking about it. Because they thought it was a great joke. All these women are going over there. See? No, that's what your low value mindset is. That you think, hey, I'm gonna be able to get women for $2. Yeah, I'm winning. No, you're losing. Low vibration people. Dirty feet wop. That's what they want. Bottom dwellers. Don't be stepping on us music people. Nothing wrong, vocal Dr. Stephanie. Music people be making money, but you got to make sure they put that music money somewhere. Dusty feet don't bother me. These dudes can't. And guess what? They get dirty feet women from another country because you'll never go to someone else's country and get the top tier. Only person that's been able to get somewhat of a top tier woman is, what's his name? Tom Brady went to Brazil and got a Brazilian model. Top of her game. That's it. Show me someone else. And Tom Brady is an award-winning, Super Bowl winning man. He had to be a multi-millionaire to get her. Everybody else, if she's dealing with American men, you're not the first one. And certainly you won't be the last. And certainly it's very transactional. So when people miss me with that, I even joke on here. I joke on here like, I'm going to make more money so I can go get me a Brazilian husband. I'm joking, but you know what I'm saying. Tenement housing in New York. Yep. Transitional housing. Our family had a boarding house. Nuyorican. You're Nuyorican. Okay, got you. Cheese is moving for everybody. Syndications. What's up, Rainy Woman? How can they pay when there's still an opiate crisis? Exactly. Biden will not forgive student loan debt, but that's none of my business. Exactly. Listen, ain't nobody. There's no one. Service business has changed my life. Congratulations, big money growth. I know, I've been seeing it. Okay. Anything about these politicians, I got to get my family together. And here's the thing, people go, oh, I don't want to think about it, but at the end of the day, if you're in Washington where they just passed a rule that kindergartners have to be taught sex ed and then fourth graders have to be taught sex ed in a different level, different way, and you have a child in school, then it is your business. It becomes your problem. See, people are very much like, well, that's not my problem, but it becomes your problem. Planet Fitness will eventually create it will eventually. I'm in Phoenix at the Charles Schwab Championship, and there was a Biden parade that went by making noise. Those old money folks are drinking and making deals in the clubhouse. Life goes on. That's facts. The wealthy don't care as long as corporate laws stay the same. Listen to me. When people were talking about, Erica, that don't affect you. That only affects people making $400,000 a year. I'm like, what the f you think I'm doing? It's affecting me. I make over that money. I make over that number. It will affect me. So yes, that's why everything needs to be in business. And people who are trying to play you off like, oh, none of this matters because all my stuff is in corporate and yeah, you do. Because every year you have to kind of play the game. You have to move the cheese a little bit. You have to shake the cheese around. As long as you're hiring people and like right now, the PPP, just to give you a heads up, they're giving out forgiveness left and right and making it a grant, but you got to show where you're paying employees. And that's where they're going to catch a lot of y'all stupid asses who went out here and tried to get PPP and ain't got no employees. They're going to catch you. Yep. Anthony, and that's just now. We're not even talking about how people have projections of leaving California next year and New York next year. These people have already worked it out and told their businesses, their homes, their jobs that they were leaving. Thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoy the content. Proximity is crucial. Thank you, Alex Hardy, for the $5 super chat. They end up 60 years old in my inbox talking about get ISL. Thank you, Anthony Bolden, for the $2 super chat. Women with children are starting to get kicked off social programs. Yeah. What he said, thank you for putting that up there. What he said is trucking will not be needed because there will be self-driving trucks, and airline pilots will not be needed because they're drones. Okay, so let's address it a little bit more. The whole self-driving truck thing is a fantasy of mythical proportions. And I'm telling you this because as a person who spent the past 2 years, every lobby, everything I've been able to dig my feet and heels into, what will happen with that man that y'all just claimed got elected is you will have more regulations and you will have more requirements for healthcare for the drivers. That will segue a lot of drivers out of the business. But what you saw this past 2-3 years as well is a lot of independent owners get into the game. Now, trucking can be lucrative. It can be. It can be. There are times and moments where you're having lots of deposits hit your account, but you also have lots of expenses. And if you actually pay attention to the big boys, some of them are only making 5% off of all that money that comes in there. They're making 5%. Not 20% margins, 5% margins. And then you go, okay, well, if they're only making 5% margins and they're a big boy, where's their money really going? And you start digging in the rabbit hole and following the rabbit trail. They've got land, they've got parking lots, they're invested in pilots and flying J's and Loves, they're invested in rest stops for drivers, they're invested in lots of trailers because government contracts really require a lot of trailers and not a lot of trucks. You know, you start digging into these markets, really digging into them, and thank you for the $5 cash app. When you really start digging into them, you start seeing they're making their money all around trucking, not via the trucks. Making it off the gas stations. Making it off the land. That's why I keep telling y'all all roads lead to real estate. When the gold rush happened, who made the money off the gold rush? Was it the men digging for gold, or was it the men selling shovels? You have to be very clear on that. But it's same thing with pilots. Like right now, when I went to Belize, we went to a little island in Belize. Like we went from main part of Belize to like nowhere Belize. And there were pilots driving, and the pilots literally said, he said, these planes are on autopilot. He said, it's like we're a taxi cab driver and we just do the same route every day. It's the plane's flying itself. If something goes left or right, with us on this plane, it will alert everybody, of course, to look for us because we'd be dead because the plane is small. But ultimately, he said it was almost like it's autopilotly driving them. Now, same thing with the planes you have right there, American Airlines, all those, you will still have people in those. The insurance and lawsuit capability of a plane without a pilot is too high. It's too high. It's too high for right now. Now, could Robert Kiyosaki be talking about 10 years from now? For sure. Right now? No. Trucking, and I keep telling people in trucking, the next 2 to 10 years in trucking are going to be wonderful for people starting from the bottom. Now you hear for men who are drivers and they own their own truck, or maybe they own 2 trucks and they rent the other truck out, or they run those 2 trucks under their authority. Yes, there'll be a lot of money coming in and out of your account, $5 to $6 grand per truck a week. But then there'll be also a lot of expenses, and that's what takes you out is the paperwork and then the expenses. And for me, once I really learned the game at a very high cost, I almost was like, fuck them trucks, okay, right? And then I was like, let me get back to what I do well, which is online business. But even in online business, there's the issues, of course, of third-party platforms and how payment plans, and also the fact that you're still dealing with people. And for me, service businesses have always been consistent. They will always put money in your pocket. You can always go get in your car today and go see 10 houses, and whether you're a wholesaler or whether you're repairing those houses, you will have money this week. Several people I know made $35,000 their first weeks out remodeling and roofing and siding. And that's gross, of course, not net. But it's because people need service. There's a million YouTube channels, but people need service. Okay? Watch your crowd run with winners. Single parenting is hella hard, Erica. You're not guaranteed your kids are going to make it too. I'm going to buy a big house and get some older folks like me. This is true. I'm not, again, the thing that I despise, and I'm going to be very clear, despise is the word I want to use. When people who are single and they don't have kids speak about kids, people get very defensive. But who watches your kids all day at school? Teachers who usually don't have kids. Who babysits your children? People without kids. Who is the village that you depend on? People without kids. So to tell people without kids they cannot talk about people's kids is asinine. And so I just want to make that clear. Like, I'm giving commentary, but I'm telling you, that woman who is 50 years old with twin babies, who will need her? They will need her because they don't have any family. All they have is each other. And weirdly enough, when you have just single mom, like a single mom and a single daughter, it becomes a weird sister relationship, because that's pretty much, they become best friends, and that's the child center focus is just that parent. It's a very lonely existence. You talk and survey many single children, like only child children. There's a reason they have the bad stigma. There's even a book out now talking about the world needs middle children, because middle children are usually the peacemakers. They're usually bargainers. They're usually people that meet in the middle. And when you move a society to a 2-child society, you have a firstborn and a second. You have a baby of a family and you have a firstborn. People who characteristically, on average, sometimes lack empathy and sometimes are bullies. And that just is what it is. And sometimes babies who underperform because they know somebody will be there as a safety net. There's several studies on this stuff. I'm not just pulling this out my ass. Like, I research for hours a day, and that's how I knew, just digging deep into trucking, digging deep into all these things, start researching companies, going, how are these people making this money? Oh, they're making this money because they keep buying land and building truck stops. They're making this money because they put truckers in school and the trucker owes them a debt. They keep making this money because there's certain ways they're doing things. So I don't speak this from nowhere, and I don't talk about it from place nowhere, and I spend too much money on masterminds, but I'm in them because I want to be the best for me and my family and nepotism purposes. Exactly. Listen, OnlyFans, you know, PayPal. Listen, I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay. She was in America when he got her. Yes, she was in America. She was in America, but she was online. He got her online. See that y'all got to listen to the story. When people be having these YouTube channels, what I do is I go back to the oldest video and I let them. I listen. I go, oh, that's how y'all met. Oh, that's how you did that. Oh, you found her off internet. Oh, you were posing with your shirt off as a well-established older man, and then she follows you and gets there and realizes you have no money. Cool, awesome. Hi, I'm a company OTR driver. A year, what is it? 12/30. January was going to transition to Texas notary and field insurance to take care of my health and family. Listen, thank you for your starter video. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because people have to start over sometimes. My college classmate got his wife from Colombia. They're still married after 20 years. I don't know all the specifics of their relationship. I was surprised when he got her. Listen, it happens. San Diego's beautiful. Insurance is crazy, but insurance and taxes are crazy, but San Diego's amazing. Like, I've been to other parts of California, I'm like, ugh, pee, poop, gross. San Diego, beautiful. That's right. You have to pay corporate taxes on the original amount, y'all. Ghana is growing. Yeah, you can do that. Exactly. They BBL, when they move, they don't realize why did they have to move. It's again, I know New Yorkers hate it when I bring it up, but it's like when New Yorkers move down south and they complain about how bad down south is, and it's like, go back then. Oh, you can, because you financially can. You couldn't make it there, so leave District 5 alone. You are now in District 12. Be a part of District 12, okay? That's the thing. Hunger Games. And, well, here's the thing, too. The people that are coming from California are usually conservatives, but you do have a huge part of liberals. What's changing with truck driver health regulations? Michael, I will just say that there's changes coming. There's changes coming. New Jersey's terrible. They've been losing people for years, but they still gain people because they're a squeeze point. People in Philly want to go to New Jersey for the bigger house, the bigger yard. People in New York come to New Jersey because they need the space. Again, bigger house, bigger yard. The taxes are crazy because New Jersey knows that's the only way they're going to make money is because, they're a squeeze state. Appliance boot camp, I'm going to talk more about service. The whole 2021 is I had a segment of people I'm working with for remodeling and for wholesaling, because I'm really looking for a lot of land out here in Texas. But what ended up happening is because of this election, I was like, y'all, all that, move that shit up this week. Like, all that, we got to start today. Everything we talked about, we got to start now. Jason R. Clark, thank you for $5 super chat. Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's going to crash next year. It's going to be... No. Some of this stuff is crashing now. Because people get to the closing table, and because the original owner took a forbearance, if they don't come to that table with the amount of money they took on forbearance, the house cannot close. So the seller ain't trying to cough up six grand. Sometimes these mortgage, they've been not paying their mortgage for months. These sellers aren't trying to pay that. These buyers aren't trying to pay that. You already have it happening. And what you also have is you'll have people who, again, they're going to handle these mortgages different. See, it's the people with the vacant houses that they got from their Aunt Lulu that they can't never do nothing with for various reasons, that they're going to let those go. North Carolina is not traditionally red. Don't say that. I'm from North Carolina. North Carolina was the stomping ground of super diverse voting state that could flip either way. North Carolina traditionally has been Democrat, but we had Dixie Democrats. Now, what does Dixie Democrat mean? Traditionally conservative, don't like abortion, love guns, Dixiecrats. It's a different type of blue. So when you see them, you're like, well, they're voting red. Well, they were already red. They flip for per election. Right now, you have a black Republican lieutenant governor and a Democratic governor. The state of North Carolina voted for those two people at the same time. It's because the they vote on the issues, not the people, right? We had a lot of Democrats for 25 years in North Carolina, multiple of them being convicted, going to jail, losing their license, being disbarred. North Carolina historically has had the Democrats, and they've been just as racist. Okay. So again, I'm, as a person from North Carolina, I'm very protective of North Carolina, because we were the original state of, I know everybody hates John Edwards, but that's the prime example of North Carolina. You work, maybe working in factories, maybe working in farms, you send your kid to college, that kid goes to college, and they move to Raleigh or Charlotte, and they make a better life for themselves, and they send that money back, or they come back to their hometown and build that up. One of the most popular shows is the chef that left New York because she could never own a restaurant in New York. She could never afford it. Her parents said, we'll give you the money for the restaurant if you come back to Eastern North Carolina, which was a slightly dying area, because they never built this particular road through it. And she came back, and she's now one of the most famous chefs out there, because she has a restaurant and shows and multiple reality TV shows out there. North Carolina is a very unique state, because we have such a detach from our mountain folk, who we promised all our mountain folk to go to school for free, and they still won't leave the mountains. Why? Because it's regional. They ain't leaving. They not leaving. Okay. But we clearly cut it off in the mountains at Charlotte, because we didn't want all the black people going to school for free either. We couldn't do that. That's still North Carolina, racist. And again, North Carolina had historically a black Wall Street in multiple areas: Durham, Greensboro, and we had one in Eastern North Carolina. So North Carolina is a complex state that it's hard to talk about politically, and I get very sensitive on it because I had to be forced to study it for many years. So all the middle kids I know are, hell, Lord, then you know some toxic families. I'm in a entirely different business, learned so much from you. I think we're the same age, but you're my OG. Thank you, Alton. I am in my middle 30s. I'm leaving the young 30s to the middle 30s. So, I get it. People are like, how old are you? That's how old I am. Out of America, families stay together more. Single mothers fare better as family take care of everyone. Yes. Women in their 50s do have family and friends. Having kids later has its benefit too, but need to be well penned out. Very much. Nope. Yes, North Carolina is similar to Arkansas. No problem. I worked for John Edwards, and I worked for Carrie. I worked in college for those people. That's why I'm very much I know that environment, unfortunately, strongly. And that a lot of people in North Carolina are Republican, but they'll run Democrat because they know for 20 years, everybody white in that area has always voted Democrat. So they know they're going to run that way, even if they don't believe it, just to win. All right. And to finish it out, she said, I would not recommend coming to San Diego unless you're making $200,000 a year. Taxes, homeless are getting worse. This is true. And several of the young men that I follow, they all just left California, San Diego area to come to Miami, Florida. Like Grant Cardone and many of them were saying. So look, we got 203 likes here. We got $17 in the super chats. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you, Sienna, for the $5 cash app. Thank you for supporting this channel. I try to bring y'all good stuff. I hope this was educational and helpful. If it wasn't, it wasn't. But for me, it was. So, hey, this is your girl, Erica, from the Classy Climb blog. Check you guys out later.